bring doctor certificate. Yes. So you all buy a doctor certificate stating that Swaminathan is a lunatic. You go apply before the court. The court will say I'm a lunatic, right? What will they verify? Okay, that doctor also says that I'm a lunatic. Huh? Even then court will not accept. The court will have their own test of lunacy. As I again say, don't apply logic to law. In most of these cases, this lunacy is proved otherwise. This is the court box. You stand on this side, somebody else stands on the other side, and the judge sits here, and your advocate comes and cross questions you. Okay. In generally on all these typical cases, practically I had seen, I'm sharing this example, that person, the advocate will come and say, you are a lunatic. This fellow will say, no, I am not a lunatic. This fellow say, you are put under strict proof to say that you are not a lunatic. That fellow will say, sir, what is the proof that I can adduce before the court to say that I am not lunatic? I have medical certificate. The advocate will say, medical certificate is not a valid proof for. Then this advocate will again start, no, that person was already telling that you are a lunatic, you had behaved this side like this, that, etc. And completely he'll actually kindle the spirit. At one point in time, what you will do? You will either shout that I'm not a lunatic, else you will faint. Yes, judge will write that you are a lunatic. That is what is happening in all cases. The court will not look at that. That's what I'm telling. This is the precise thing that's happening in the recent days in law. Have you ever seen movies where they say na paithiyam illa, but the moment he says that, he will be adjudged lunatic. But for the purpose of Contracts Act, lunacy means the inability to understand the terms of the contract. Who are lunatics? First is a person with a mental asylum. Second is an idiot. Who is an idiot? Have you ever heard of this word idiot? When do you say a person an idiot? Normal slang you use. But the real meaning of the word idiot is a person who is unable to tell the name of his mother and father. That's the legal definition of the word idiot. A person who is unable to say the name of his mother and father is an idiot. So please avoid telling idiot from now on. Okay. Right. Pardanashin woman is not competent to enter into contract. Who is a Pardanashin woman? Never heard of the term. You have heard of the term parda? What is parda? Those persons are specifically prohibited from entering into contracts as they are not competent enough to enter into contract. But no, that was the time in 1872 when this Contracts Act was there. That was the situation. Subsequently, Muslim laws have been amended where it enabled a Muslim to enter into Muslim women who still wears parda to enter into a contract. Next is enemy alien. Who is an alien? Who is an alien? Am I an alien? Yes. Who is an alien then? Who is an alien? Yeah, I'm not asking you anything which is technical. It's English. He does not belong to the country. Okay, he belongs to a different country, is called an alien. But you can always enter into a contract with a friendly alien, and you cannot contract with an enemy alien. Who is a friendly alien? Who is an enemy alien? Is to be adjudged at the time of entering into contract. For example, if there is a situation of war that is happening between two countries, then at that point in time, he is an enemy alien. After the war is over, he becomes a friendly alien. Okay. So with Korea, if you enter into a contract, there is no problem. With Pakistan, if you enter into a contract, is there a problem? Why? No. At this point in time, there is no wars-like situation that is happening. But at the time of Kargil war, if somebody enters into a contract with a Pakistani, then it amounts to, then the person is incompetent to enter into a contract. So the following persons whom I've told you are incompetent to enter into a contract. A child, can it enter into a contract? It can enter into a contract through its guardian. First being the natural guardian, and subsequently, if natural guardians are not available, then through court appointed guardians. You understood the basic concept behind competency to contract? Yes, all agreements or contracts is over. If they are made by free consent of the party is over. Competent to contract is over. Next is for a lawful object. What is an object? What's an object? What's an object? Sorry, what is an objective? To do something. In contracts, the object is nothing but your objective behind the contract. The object should be lawful. Now, what are lawful objects? What are unlawful objects? Everything is a lawful object unless specifically prohibited by law. Everything is a lawful object unless specifically prohibited by law. So you will question, what are those which are prohibited under law? Marriage brokerage contacts. What is it? Have you ever heard of this word? Not marriage brokerage. Marriage brokerage contracts. No idea. No idea at all. No. You should have heard all sorts of nonsense in relation to this. Getting a person for money is marriage brokerage contacts by forced consent is marriage brokerage contacts. For example, you have lot of persons who will try to kidnap a person on the knife edge, come and get married to somebody else. This is a business that's happening today. Those are unlawful objects. Now, you trading with an enemy country is an unlawful object. You are specifically prohibited by law to not to do something, but you still continue to do it. It's an unlawful object. The typical example would be, how many of you all know TASMAC? What is TASMAC? Huh? TASMAC is not wine shop. It is something related to Tamil Nadu government's marketing association. But as we all know, it has got a very good brand called TASMAC, right? It's actually the arm of Tamil Nadu government, of its marketing wing. But they sell it through this. But sometime before this, there was no TASMAC. It was all private bars. But subsequently what happened? Government took over that. So there may be some objects which may be lawful, but subsequently it may become unlawful. So lawful object has to be determined at every stages of contract, not only at the time of entering into contract, but also at every stages of contract. Suppose law says you are not supposed to do this, then you are not supposed to do this. For example, they may ban private institutes taking classes. In such a case, Sriram Academy cannot come and take class. Rather, I cannot come and take class. So the determination of a lawful object arises at the time of entering into contract and has to be reviewed at every stages of contract. For example, you are not supposed, you have given a permission to construct 11-storied building in OMR. Subsequently, government puts a restriction that you cannot build more than 8 floors. Can you build 11 floors? Why? Because there's a government restriction. So the object may be lawful at the time of entering, but subsequently it may turn to be an unlawful object. So review the legality of the object at every stages of. Got my point? All agreements are contracts if they are made by free consent of the parties competent to contract with a lawful object. And now comes with a lawful consideration. The chapter which I used to like the most. What is consideration? Hmm? Hmm? Something in return. You slap me, I slap you. Huh? Might be consideration. What is consideration? They've not taught you the definitions in your CPT? No. They've taught, but we don't remember. Ever heard of the word? Have you ever heard of the definition of consideration? No. No. Where the desire of the promisor, the promisee or any other person has done or abstained from doing something, does or abstains from doing something, or promises to do or promises to abstain from doing something, such an act or abstinence is called consideration for the promise. This is supposed to be a very tough definition under Contracts Act. Okay. There is one definition in the tax laws. You have indirect taxation for you? You have indirect taxation? From today. They're going to start with they're going to start with central excise. There is an act called Central Excise Act, where you have a definition called transaction value. If I remember right, I'll tell you, else I'll see and tell. Right. Transaction value means the price actually paid or payable for the goods when sold, and includes, in addition to amount charged as price, such an amount that the buyer is liable to pay to or on behalf of the assessee, whether payable at the time of sale or at any other time, including but not limited to any amount charged for or to make provision for advertising, publicity, marketing and selling organization expenses, storage, outward handling, servicing, warranty, commission or any other matter, but does not include the amount of duty of excise, sales tax and any other taxes, if any, actually paid or payable on such goods. I don't know if it is for intermediate, it will certainly be there for final. No, I'm making up your mind to learn all this. This is the toughest definition that you can see. The such toughest definition under Contracts Act is consideration. But a very beautiful definition, beautifully put forth. Where at the desire of the promisor, the promisee or any other person has done or abstained from doing something. It means there can be payment or it can be a non-payment also. Thus or abstains from doing something. Present tense. Promises to do or promises to abstain from doing something. Future. Such an act. Suppose I commit an act is also a consideration. Suppose I don't act is also a consideration. So there are a lot of things that this definition has. Where the desire of the promisor. Who is the promisor? One who makes the promisee or any other person. Need not be me. Suppose I am the promisee, I may order somebody else to do it also. Has done. I want to sell my house to you. So what should I do? I want to sell my house. What should I do? So the moment you say consideration is payable, then it means that I am selling my house. You are legal. Yes. Well, then why would you pay? Everything is fine. Suppose I don't have the inclination. You give me money. I have a beautiful house. You had seen that house. You wanted to buy. Things are perfectly legal. Things are perfectly legal. No doubt about it. It's a good bungalow behind this seashore. everything is fine, and you say that I am ready to pay 1 crore to buy this property, you are giving me consideration. But what should I do in return? I should sell the house. Suppose I don't sell the house, does it mean that there is a consideration? For consideration, two parties have to exchange something. Okay, for consideration, you have to have two parties who should exchange two different things. Precisely, consideration is not only that. Consideration is something more. It's not only something in return. For example, Muralidharan comes and says, Swami, it's better that you don't take class. He comes and says that. Suppose I come and take class, what happens? I am going against his will. Suppose I don't take class. He says, Swami, if you don't take class, I'll pay you 30,000 rupees. Is there a consideration? Why? I'm not doing anything. Consideration amounts to not doing something also. It is not necessary that you will have to do something. There are some things called non-compete agreements. For example, Hyundai and Nokia or Hyundai and Saint-Gobain. Where are those places? Or where are those factories? Those are in Sriperumbudur. Okay. Nokia pays some amount to Hyundai for one thing. You know what it is? I will not take your employees. You should not take my employees, for which I will pay you an yearly fee of 1 crore. Is there a consideration passing on between two parties? Perfectly a valid consideration, perfectly a true consideration, but this consideration is paid not to do something, or rather for not doing something. Still the consideration is valid. Our agreement is that I should not take your employee, you should not take my employee, which I am complying. For that, that company gives me some money to me, which is a valid consideration. Okay. So, consideration need not be, it need not be only for doing something, it can also be for not doing, and consideration need not be adequate. What is need not be adequate? Exactly. Value of the property may be anything, but it need not be the same as that of what is prevailing in the market. But the question here is, in case of inadequacy of consideration, then people will look at whether there has been any form of coercion that has been employed, whether any form of undue influence has been employed. Because by undue influence also I can try to get you for 80 lakhs, right? Yes or no? Consideration can be past, present or future. What does it mean? Typical question to you. This class is a past consideration or a present consideration? Present, past or future? How many of you all present? How many of you all past? How many of you all future? Present? Present? Only one. Future? Let me write it down. Present one, past? How many past? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many future? 4. Which point of view? After giving your verdict, you are questioning your own questions. You assume something. Majority wins. Present is 1, past is 8, future is 4. This is a past consideration as long as today is concerned. Why? Why? You have already paid your fees, right? For this class, have you paid the fees or not? Since yesterday, there was no law classes. Yes? Was there a law class? No. But today, there is a law class. At this point in time, you have a law class, for which consideration has already been passed some time back. But as long as the position stood yesterday, It was a future consideration, because me giving you the lesson is going to happen only from tomorrow and not from yesterday. Suppose I charge a class, suppose you have to come for a guest lecture class of 5,000 rupees, and today full day I will take class, which means it's a present consideration. You understood? For me, everything is a future consideration. Sorry, for me, everything is a past consideration. For Murli sir, everything is a future consideration. Because I'm going to get paid only when I complete the class, but for which I render my service even now. So that is the precise distinction between past, present and future. But in foreign countries, you don't have this past, present and future consideration and all those concepts. Consideration can be past or present, and it cannot, consideration can be future or present, and it cannot be past. Past consideration is no consideration. Okay. Now, can consideration be monetary, should be monetary, or it may need not be monetary? Then what it should be? Then what it should be? As I already told you, you need not have to do something also. So it can be even a barter system. Okay, you come here, the consideration between me and you is what? You come and sit in the class, I take class. What is the consideration that you and I give? I assume you listen, you assume I teach, right? Is there any consideration that is going between me and you straight away in this class? So there is a intangible consideration that is being passed on from my side, that I am taking class, intangible consideration that you are listening to this class. Okay, you switch on the fan, you switch on the AC. What is the consideration that AC is giving it to you and you are giving it to the AC? So consideration can be one-sided also, but it has to be given to another party. Have you ever seen Kodanam? Never heard of Kodanam? No? What is it? Donation of cow at what point in time? By kins on the 10th day after the death. Okay, in that there is a consideration that is being passed on to another person, like this is being given to the other person. The cow is being donated to another person, for which the other person does not pay anything in return. Similar is Bhumidanam. So there are a lot of things where consideration is one-sided also. Suppose I ask you to sit in class, I don't interact with you, or I don't allow you to speak, and I'm just coming and saying all agreements or contracts they made by free consent, etc., etc. You're not blah 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 blah. I'm giving some nonsense. Is there a consideration? There is a consideration from your side that you are listening to a crap, but from my side, I'm not allowing you to speak. You're not supposed to do that. Okay, so these are all the rules relating to consideration. Anyways, we will see in detail as to what consideration at a later date. So what are all that is over in section 10? All agreements or contracts, if they are made by free consent of the parties, competent to contract with a lawful object and for a lawful consideration, and are hereby not expressly declared to be void. Now comes the real hero. What is void? What is void? Illegal? No. Something which is not valid is void. Something? This is what the Act says. What is a void contract? What is a void contract? Something which is not a valid contract. But what is a valid contract? No. Valid contract is one which fulfills all the conditions specified in section 10. So if any of these things are not satisfied, then it becomes a void contract. But there are specific rules which says that there is something called a voidable contracts also. I know people will all now be under an impression that this doubt of void and voidable contracts will never go from their mind till they complete their examination. What is a voidable contract? You know what's a void contract? Something which is not valid is void. What is a voidable contract? No? Come again. One at a time. Seri. Okay. No. Then there is no free consent. It may be a voidable contract. Correct. Come. You're coming to the point. An agreement which is enforceable at the option of one or more of the parties to contracts and not by others is a voidable contract. But that does not make any sense to understand what is a voidable contract. See, a voidable contract is not a combination of a void and a valid contract. No. Please don't have that in your mind. It can either be void, either it can be valid. It's a mutually exclusive event. Why do we use the word ABLE? It is optional. It could be made valid or it could be made void. The uncertainty still prevails. For example, I come under the knife edge and I say that please give me all your money. I come and say give me all your money. Okay, you give me all my money. Is the contract valid or void? Is the contract valid or void? Why do you say voidable? Then, after I stab? Huh.